Hi there, I'm Jen, this is Remembered Reads, and this is going to be a book chat that may be a defense of coffee table books. I'm not sure. We'll see. Since it's Nonfiction November, I thought this would be the perfect time to chat about the large format books that are sometimes called, and sometimes rather snidely called, coffee table books. Based on the shelves that I see behind many booktubers, there are definitely some photo book, art book, coffee table book owners out there on BookTube. But with a few exceptions, and one of whom I'll be mentioning later, I see very little discussion about them on BookTube. I see slightly more photos of them on Instagram, but even there it tends to be part of the background of a photo of a different book as opposed to the focus of any individual post, which I think is interesting since so many people own these and receive them as gifts, frankly. If you go to the suggested gifts section of almost any bookstore, coffee table books are front and center there. Let's start with a quick definition. I'm considering any large format photo or art focused book to be a coffee table book. They are generally but not always found in hardcover. They do generally but not always have glossy pages. The coffee table book seems to be dismissed as an art product that's somehow lesser than a piece of writing or a piece of art that one might hang on the wall, which I find very odd just because there are limitations on most people's wall space, even aside from the cost of buying original art or even reproductions of art. So the fact that there's such derision towards a collection of works of art that fits conveniently on a coffee table, I find that a little baffling. If you want art in your life and you don't live close enough to a gallery, why not have that in a book? If you love the visual design of a particular film or game or the architecture of a particular city or just a particular building, why not have something that reminds you of that and that serves as a discussion starter for guests that come over? And to be fair, if we wanted to be kind, I suppose we could say that the rather snobby rejection of coffee table books is maybe understandable if we're assuming that it's coming exclusively from people who are less visually oriented and just don't appreciate photos or visual art, because those people are definitely out there. I tend to assume that the people who don't understand the appeal of comic books at all are in that category as well, because I do see people who will read comics and talk about how quickly they read it, and it makes it clear that they only read the text and didn't actually engage with the art properly, which is not how one should read a comic, but if you're not a visual person, fair enough. Assuming in this case that you have the visual acuity to enjoy visual art, comics, and photos. Obviously, the enjoyment of all of this is predicated on that basic accessibility point. But even allowing for that, it does seem to be much wider spread than you would think just the less visually oriented people would be. But I think one of the important points to mention in here, even if we ignore the whole cliche of a picture is worth 1,000 words, there are still plenty of coffee table books that are equal parts text and photo, or even primarily text with photos. I'm going to link below to the booktuber Somda Says So, whose channel is genuinely at least half, if not more, individual reviews of photo-type coffee table books. She generally does flip-throughs with those reviews, and in many of them, although obviously not all of them, there are as many pages of text as there are of photos. And she will talk about both the photos and the text. In any case, interestingly, even here on BookTube, I see people who clearly have a coffee table book or two on the shelves that are visible behind them in their videos, or they're featured in their bookshelf tours or in their home, apartment, room, etc. tours. And sometimes these are also people who claim to never read nonfiction. And given that these coffee table books are virtually always nonfiction, I wonder why those people seem to forget about them. Is it because they were purchased purely for the visuals and not for the text? But it's still a book, and one can still learn things from photos. Is it because their books in particular are about a lighter topic? For example, the art from a film or video game, because I see quite a few of those. Is it because the books are semi-practical, in the way that some craft and hobby photo books are, which include beautiful photos of plants or needlework, but are at least theoretically a guide for gardening or stitching? I've talked about this in videos in kind of meta discussions about how we talk about nonfiction on BookTube. But people in general don't talk much about how-to guides. Very few people will mention the manual for their car as a favorite nonfiction book, even if that is one of the things that you read most often. So maybe it's related to that, but I don't know, and I always wonder about that. So I would love to hear your opinions on these large format art and photo books. Or coffee table books, which I say fondly and not snidely. Do you own any, or do you borrow them from the library? Do you pick them up to read, or are they purely decorative? You put them on your coffee table or elsewhere just as in the same way that you stick a picture on there. Do you count them on book tracking sites like Goodreads? If you're a booktuber or bookstagrammer, do you talk about them on your channel or photograph them for your feed? I'd love to know, are you fond of coffee table books? And even if you're not, have you bought them as gifts? Because you thought to yourself, this person likes horses, I will give them a coffee table book that's photos of horses of the world, or something like that. I'd love to know. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.